Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.
With just 2 days to go, we're taking a look at who's done the best business so far and who needs to do more before the deadline. So let's start with who we think needs to sign more players. We've chosen 5 clubs we're going to take a look at now, and James is going to tell us why he thinks they need to sign more players.
Yeah, no particular order here. We'll start with Crystal Palace. They've yet to replace Wilfried Zaha, which is a very difficult task for them to do, but only signed Franca, the Brazilian player, and Jefferson Lerma on a free from Bournemouth so far this summer. Fulham spoke to Marco Silva on Monday. He wants at least 5 new signings before the end of the deadline. They've brought one in Timothy Castagna. You can understand why they've lost a number of players, including Alexander Mitrovic, loan players going back to their parent clubs, players out of contract as well. So you can understand why. Manchester United thought they were probably having quite a good window until they picked up those injuries. Mason Mount, Varane and Luke Shaw out. So they probably want 2 more additions, you'd think. One at left back, one in midfield, as we've been discussing. Sheffield United, they have signed 8 players, but a lot of them have come in so late and they've lost 2 of their best players in Sander Berger and Ndiaye have left as well. So they've already had a difficult start to the season. Players coming in now, but could that be a little too late? And we just spoke about Wolves as well. Gary O'Neill has been there 3 weeks now, yet to make a signing. That could change in the next few hours, but they've had a really difficult window, losing a number of key established first-team players, not bringing players in. He's done pretty well so far. It's just whether or not he can keep them up, considering the constraints he's dealing with at the moment.
We've also chosen the 5 clubs we think have done the best business so far. This was actually harder to decide, wasn't it? But we've gone with these 5. Harriet, tell us why.
Yeah, there was a lot of contenders, which Zach will come on to. I've got the nice job of being nice and positive. Sorry, James, I took that away from you.
Again, no particular order.
No particular
order. It's alphabetical.
It's alphabetical. Well, yeah, that's the order, but no particular ranking. But we'll start with Arsenal. Declan Rice was the player that they really wanted to get in. I think they've done really clever business in terms of strengthening in key areas, brought in a goalkeeper in Raya, brought in Havertz as well, obviously Timber, who's been a bit unlucky with the injuries, and maybe they'll be looking at that defensive area and might be forced back into the market. But in terms of thinking, how are we going to challenge Manchester City again this season? They've strengthened in all the right areas. Aston Villa, a team I watched at the weekend, I was just so impressed with. Diaby in particular looks like a signing who could be one of the star men for them. He was so quick and behind. I think as well, Pau Torres, again, strengthening key areas, and then really looked at that squad depth in Tielemans. They know they're going to be managing European constraints this year, so dealing with that as well. Chelsea, so much work to do, and so far it looks like they've managed to do a lot of it. They've got in a lot of the players that they wanted and shifted out a lot as well. I think if you look at the attacking areas in particular, Jackson and Kunku, Sanchez as well, the goalkeeper area, every area that they needed to strengthen in, they've done exactly that. Newcastle fans will be delighted with the start of their season, bar the end of the Liverpool game, I know. But in terms of the people that they brought in, Tonali looks like he could be one of the signings of the summer, particularly at the price as well. Livramento, Barnes, Lewis Hall now, so many good signings. And then finally, West Ham United, who only a week ago would have absolutely been probably in the other list, because people were saying, how are they spending this Declan Rice money? How are they reinvesting it? And now you look at the business that they've done. Ward-Prowse absolutely hit the ground running, but kudos for me. I mean, an absolute steal. I'm so surprised that there wasn't more Premier League clubs that were coming in for him. And West Ham now looks set up for a really successful season. And David Moyes will be a very happy man, as will most of the fans of these clubs that we've got on here, because, yeah, there's a lot of really good business done. But there were some omissions, weren't there?
A couple of clubs almost made it into our top 5.
We're sorry, it was really difficult.
It was. But yeah, no, our first one has to be obviously Bournemouth. I think considering obviously losing O'Neill, they decided to bring in a new manager. And I think they brought in a new kind of transfer strategy as well. They've gone with young guys who aren't just kind of young and have huge futures, but are also ready to play now. Some of the names here, Tyler Adams, Traore, Alex Scott, who's obviously exceptional in the Championship, Romain Favre, which is a brilliant pickup, Justin Cliver, Max Aaron, so we've obviously seen his level of Premier League level. It's really, really strong. I think they've gone down a really smart route that hopefully will pay off for them, and maybe some of them might bring in some good profit for them as well if they decide to sell them on later on. Another one, I mean, they're always here. We always talk about them, Brighton. They just consistently do good business. I think from a selling point of view, it's incredible, some of the fees they've got for some of their players. And then they've replaced them in really smart ways. They've brought in Dahoud and Milner on free signings who are experienced players, but also brought in João Pedro, Igor, Balaba. They are really, really strong signings who I wouldn't be too shocked if in January or next summer we might be speaking about some of those signings as possibly being sold on for 50, 60, 70 million pounds.
That's what they do. I didn't even mention Caicedo in the Chelsea
Yeah.
chat, or Lavia. Chelsea have got too many players to think about, but Caicedo, the fee they got for him, and you just know they're going to reinvest it well, and we'll be talking about another player who's going for upwards of 100 million in a couple of years.
But even like some of the deals they did last summer, Billy Gilmour, for instance, is somebody who they brought in, and now we're seeing him kind of being fitted into this midfield. The manager, how they brought him last summer, or last season, I think they just constantly do good business, and it really wouldn't shock me if we're still talking about them again in January.
And we just had some Brighton Academy players having a little tour of the newsroom,
We did,
so we're going to
yes,
be
we did.
keeping a close eye on those players.